All right. We'll watch the Destiny controversy with Sony because I'm very curious about it. All I know is Destiny's pulling support next month on the 9th. Officially, I think it's in like 2 weeks. 2 weeks. A 10-year-old game will officially have no more support. But this is from Alcatraz. It got worse. And this like detail explains it.
Oh, can I just say this image right here? This is our final shape. Myself, Frost, and ZK working at Mickey D's. This is truly the final shape, and we are getting closer and closer.
It's really funny you saying this because Alcatraz was one of the people that used like whenever I used to like play Destiny all the time. I kind of stopped after Final Shape because truthfully I hate the ending of it. I think the ending of Destiny for the Light and Darkness War was ass, and it honestly felt like an afterthought. So this is pretty bad.
Closer to it, most notably with the news here recently about Bungie. And let me just say, guys, it ain't good. I've been seeing a lot of things online. I've seen people try to pull some copium bullshit out of their ass saying, oh, no, this is actually a good thing. Or my favorite, this is all part of the process.
Part of the process.
Sony's all along. Delusional, but not as delusional as the marathon community. Oh, yeah. Believe me. Destiny players, we have been submerged in the copium, but you guys are running in head first, thick into it, my man. But let's get into the news. Hold on, let me pull this up. So,
I remember way back when Marathon was announced, the Destiny community, because I kept seeing it all the time, kept saying we got to support Marathon because that's the only way they're going to keep supporting Destiny 2. I always disagreed within that because Marathon, through everybody who played it, who play extraction shooters, people who didn't play extraction shooters, everybody besides like one person, and I won't name them off, said this does not look good. And they improved from that, and from that we have this. I still want to know what was the state of Marathon back then. But me being like a past Destiny fan up until the end of Final Shape, I even said supporting Marathon to continue Destiny was definitely a delusional thing. I never saw the point to that. Because that doesn't make sense to me. That's like you're like through Activision Blizzard, you're buying Call of Duty to support Candy Crush. That's the logic there within that. I never understood why was that like so popular.
I'm on vacation this week, and this is what I woke up to. PlayStation's reported a $765 million impairment loss due to underperformance by Bungie. Now, if you remember what I said leading up to this earnings call, I told you guys that we were in speculation territory. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I don't know about speculation territory. Well, for Destiny, I remember the Sony side, like the people who live chronically online and don't really follow that too much news. When it was talked about that Sony bought out Bungie, people thought Halo was going to be strictly PlayStation, and they never caught on that they haven't owned Halo in like 7 or 8 years.
Yes, there was an impairment at the end of last year, if y'all remember that. No, it did not go against goodwill, but still not a good sign. And I told you guys Strike 2 would be another impairment. Strike 2 and 3 would have been an impairment and also against goodwill. Now, as far as I'm understanding, it didn't go against goodwill, but it still is an impairment nonetheless. And there seems to be some copium about this where the same folks that came out and say, don't worry, this is just an accounting thing. They're also the same people that come out and say, don't worry about it. When you buy something that's for your...
They're also the same people that, like, I think it was like 2 years ago, that when Bungie went through with Sony, and Sony let go a lot of departments that would let Bungie continuously be solo. People even said that it's the process, and I disagree within that, to be honest, because like they let go of an HR department, they let go of something else. I forgot exactly what it was, but they let go a lot the first year.
business, it's a business expense. As if that makes it free. That's not how that works, guys.
Business expenses are not free.
Write it off. It doesn't make that item or whatever, that expense, free, okay? So the impairment here, essentially all it really boils down to is, well, Bungie's assessed value is obviously not as much as Sony originally thought. I mean, I don't know, dude. I mean, we could have all kind of assumed that. Let's just say this, though. It's Pete Parsons, by the way. He's on some tropical island somewhere, sitting in one of his 35 exotic cars. And can you just say, I don't like what he did to Destiny or Bungie, but, man, my man's straight up a villain. He came in there.
I hope people don't forget what he did with firing 200. I think it was like 200,000 people, or it was like 200 something. I hope people don't forget that. That just shows what type of an evil person he is.
He talked the talk, said Bungie had all these incubation projects. Again, we're cranking on Destiny, we're cranking on Marathon. We got gummy bears, we got Destiny Payback. Oh yeah, we are live service gods. Everything we touch turns to gold, and we've got 4 or 5 more live service games. And Sony was like, all right, how much? And Pete was like, I don't know, man. Billions, probably. And unfortunately, that's what Sony paid. Now, yes, there's some accounting.
I think the Destiny mobile game did die out a little faster than it should have. I don't hear anything about the Destiny mobile game.
Benefits right now to the impairment. But regardless, whether you were Microsoft back in the day with Mojang, whether you're Tencent with Riot, when you buy any asset, you want it to have a good return. And I can promise you, that's the alternative that Sony would rather have right now. They would rather have Bungie be exactly what they said they were going to be. You know what I mean? I've yapped long enough. Sony backs Marathon even after $765 million in Bungie impairment losses. So this was from Paul Tassi. This was published just the other day. Paul's been catching a lot of heat online. A lot of people in the Marathon community. Not many of them. You know what I'm saying? But they're pretty vocal. While most of Sony's recent earnings news this week was positive, there was one very glaring red mark in the books. That would be Bungie, which Sony revealed another $565 million in impairment losses, joining the
Oh my God,
announced previously. Despite that, Sony said it is backing Bungie's recent underperforming release, Marathon, and continues to support the studio. But there's a lot to dissect here, so let's go through it. What is now?
I think Sony has to back it up because Bungie is like such a high tier name that if they dissolve Bungie within like the first 5 years of them having them, but it's mostly Bungie's fault for doing stupid shit all the time, it would look really bad for Sony. Like Bungie, with as much bad as they've done, if Sony immediately got rid of Bungie within like the first 5 years of having it, it would have like looked worse for Sony, saying that they're dissolving companies.
$765 million in impairment losses against Bungie is not something as simple as Bungie games are $765 million in the red. Rather, what impairment losses are doing is acknowledging that Bungie is not as valuable of an asset as Sony thought it was when it bought it for $3.6 billion, so it keeps knocking that number down. Sony, looking ahead to fiscal year 2026, says it believes those impairment losses for Bungie will be absent, or at least way less than the 1 billion yen, 565 million from this year. It remains rather wild that Sony ever thought Bungie was worth $3.6 billion, which is eyebrow raising.
I want to know the marketing that they did to make them think Bungie's worth that much. Like, Bungie has been raking in money from the Destiny fans, and they have been saving the game as much as they could. But I think now officially they've given up.
At the time, and from an outside perspective, it still seems that it's probably worth less than Sony is saying, especially given recent events. I mean, look, we talk a lot of shit about Pete, but if there's one thing that Pete seemed to have done his job well on, it was, getting the biggest price possible for Bungie. I also think this was a knee-jerk reaction at the time because Sony was getting a little scared with what was happening on the Xbox side. Lots of acquisitions. Of course, the thing that was leading up to the big acquisition of Activision, right? It almost reminded me, although this is a much bigger scale, but it reminded me years ago whenever every platform was buying content creators, if y'all remember that. Everybody was trying to lock in content creators in exclusive deals, and it really just took Mixer going out.
I will say, there is like a current precedent that a lot of people are saying that they need to like support more smaller content creators. I understand, get the bag, but we've seen a year where people have played, or they get paid out to play a whole game, and they fill in the requirement marks, which most of the time it's like 2 hours to play the game. Then they leave, and then they never play the game again, and then they question why the game suck. And it's because they won't go back to the game.
For them to finally be like, whoa, this is not sustainable. It's a situation like this, but on a much bigger scale. And obviously, you know, you have tangible products that go alongside it outside of, I guess, influencer. Despite this, Sony has at least publicly backed Bungie's continued work on Marathon, saying players' reception to Marathon is strong, receiving a
Sorry, I was over my drink.
and more than 90% of the player reviews on Steam being positive. Engagement metrics such as retention also remain at a high level. Going forward, we aim to improve the performance of the game by working to retain highly engaged core users through the introduction of additional content, further improvements in the gameplay experience, and expansion of the user base. Yeah. I mean, look, I think the main thing is like,
I will say this: if they're really looking to sustain the game, unvault everything. And I know it's impossible because they have fully deleted the Red War, and they can't bring back the Red War because I think they lost the lawsuit. But bring back everything that you're still charging. You're still charging for whatever DLC is called. I think it's like Shadowfall or something that Cade dies in, and really all you're buying off of that still full price DLC is just 2 strikes. You cannot do anything else in there.
the people that are still playing Marathon, they're playing a lot of it, you know. Personally, I think Destiny is the better investment. And I know Marathon people, you're going to come for my neck right now, but
I agree. I never played Marathon. I've seen clips and gameplay of Marathon. It looks the most early access game I've ever seen in my life. And I'm sure there's like a lot of like art stuff that they had to remove because of the one artist stealing from the other artist that they caught it. It just looks like a bunch of plain colors everywhere. The characters do not look very good to play. Like not good as like skill, but they don't look like anything. They should have just had character customization, and they couldn't have easily just done equipment. Since they're doing like this whole class system deal, but I agree that Bungie Bungie with Destiny is a much better investment, and there's so much more in there than Marathon. Plus, there's even stuff that they will grasp people. Like they got Star Wars, they got Mass Effect, they got The Witcher, they got Dungeons and Dragons, they got a bunch of stuff in there that they can continuously sell to make money off of. But I think they're the way I see it with Bungie, they're doing the same thing what they did with Halo. They made the amount of stuff that they wanted to do. They, in a way, ended the story because technically Halo 3 was supposed to be the end of the story. But now they ended the story with the light and darkness, and now they don't know what to do with it. So now they're already moving on to the next project. So pretty much what we're seeing now with Bungie is the same thing we saw like 10 plus years ago. That they wanted to get rid of Halo, and they're more than willing enough to get rid of Destiny just to work on their next project with new things.
just think it is. I think it has a more interesting universe. I think that the foundation there is way more solid. I think right now they're seeing some like high retention numbers, but that tends to happen. For instance, this is a very small piece of what I can offer here from personal experience. But like if I drop a video on my channel, what you normally find is the videos with the least amount of views have the highest retention. If it just seems to work that way, man. It's like people that are actually interested in that particular topic, or in this case, a community is actually engaged with Marathon and its IP, tend to play the fuck out of this. Or in my case, you know, they'll watch 3-4 times the amount of some of our other pieces. And of course, there's a lot of variables that's involved in that. It's interesting how that goes. It's like the further something keeps refining down, yes, those players will be the ones that play the shit out of your game. That obviously seems unwarranted if you've been tracking the performance of the game, which is continuing lost players since launch with no signs of anything.
What is this, a Bungie Finally Dead video? This is explaining what Bungie's doing and with their last post, with everything, and what they're doing moving forward. Like with them announcing that Destiny is officially pulling support next month on the 9th, and what their plans are for the future. And they're talking about what's going to happen from the 9th on with Destiny and with Marathon on, well, a little bit with Marathon. It's mostly about Destiny. It's mostly explaining why they're pulling support with Destiny 2. and why they're focusing more on Marathon, that they still think Marathon's a success, but it's also talking about how much money Sony has lost with Marathons. Like in this, Sony has put in that they have lost uh 563 I think it's $1 million, but in total with everything they lost $762 million off of Bungie so far, just with the announcement that they made with this post. I think this post is like a week old because this is the same post that they did with announcing with what they're doing with Destiny. So like Sony is in the hole with Bungie right now.
Resembling a turnaround. Even as
And it's also explaining what Sony's going to do with Bungie in the future with what Bungie knows.
moves have been made to appeal to more casual players. On PC, its main platform, it's about to dip below Destiny 2's nightly numbers. It already has. And an 11-year-old game that is in the middle of its longest content drought in its history. Even as Sony is saying this now, there's nothing to guarantee a lack of poor outcomes for Bungie, including...
I think the content drought is really sad because their last update that they had to the game, they brought in Star Wars, and Star Wars fans are so beaten down by Disney, they just did not entertain the value of going to Destiny 2. Like, if Star Wars cannot bring up your numbers, then I don't know what to tell you. Just bring out Destiny 3.
layoffs reduce costs, which in turn would mean less investment in these games, which would likely mean fewer players, a spiral we've already seen with Destiny. It's very clear that Bungie does not currently have enough resources to produce enough content for Destiny 2, the studio now tilting in favor of Marathon in terms of total devs aside, and that isn't going well either. I think Paul's referring to his insider stating that there's now officially more developers on Marathon than Destiny. Destiny 2 simply wasn't mentioned at all, which is disconcerting for what was Bungie.
That doesn't really surprise me because they did say they pulled a lot of people who designed stuff for Destiny 2 around the Star Wars update to Marathon, but they had to keep them on to finish the Star Wars stuff. Man, what is Alcatraz going to do after Destiny? That man's dedicated everything to playing that game. In the beginning of the video, after this video, I'll show you the image he showed for his future when Destiny shuts down in, like, I think it's 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks sounds about right. I'll show you the image that he put up at the beginning of this video, what his future is going to look like. Him and the other Destiny content creators.
These flagship franchises.
Which actually, where am I right now? So, no, I'll do it after the video.
Now a game that has no clear roadmap for the future. Fans are hoping that Destiny 3 may soon be announced, but there are no indications that is going to be the case, and that would likely have to come with a near total shutdown on work on Destiny 2 for years to come. I tell you this, guys, from what I looked at in the earnings call, I'm not hopeful of a sequel for Destiny. Everything that was mentioned in the earnings call, whether the lack of Destiny being mentioned, makes me feel like there's just Destiny 3 is probably not getting made. But there is no imminent...
As much as I think Destiny 3 is not going to be made, I think Destiny 3 will retain more players than Destiny 2, because the biggest issue with Destiny 2 is you're thrown in with a bunch of shit that you either can or cannot do. Like, immediately after you do the not one-to-one tutorial mission that's in Destiny 1, but they, since the Red War is not in the game, they did change up the tutorial mission. And then immediately, like, I did try it out like a few years ago of making a hunter class and trying out the new tutorial to get the new weapon. It is far worse for a new player because once you get the M4 rifle, and this is what somebody told me, that they've not bought anything for Destiny. They made a new account for Destiny just to see what's it like as soon as you start. As soon as you finish the tutorial, it immediately hits you with, I think they said 7 pop-ups to buy DLCs. Saying like, oh, you can progress the story more, buy this DLC, buy this DLC. And it's really dumb. Because they throw you so much shit. If they throw in Destiny 3, it will gain a lot more people. I will agree with that, but the production of it, they're looking at it as like the current Destiny 2 players.
plug pulling a marathon, which I've always predicted will get at least a year of content to see if it could find an audience. Nor do I believe Sony is on the verge of closing Bungie itself, even if its value has fallen as an asset. After all, it's asset that Sony is still valuing at billions, mind you. This is not Concord, the Sony game made by a brand new studio that arrived with 700.
No, because they already have Concord 4. I think we're on Concord 4 now because they're making Horizon Zero Dawn I think it's another Concord where you have to pay, and they have like all these ugly characters that match Concord characters, but in Horizon universe.
Concurrent PC players were shuttered. But to say the good news coming out of all this is, well, at least Bungie and Marathon weren't just publicly executed. That's not exactly a great place to be. It's almost entirely bad news, and this idea that Bungie can surely turn Marathon around is not something that reflects the reality on the ground. Not from any data we could see. The studio continues to navigate choppy seas, but Sony is not yet scuttling the ship. First up, you guys have been giving Paul so much heat on his coverage, and it's been coming directly from the Marathon.
To be fair, he deserves it after him bringing I don't remember the exact number, but it was like 200 people to his house to view his 35 expensive luxury cars, and then the same 200 people he fired the next day after showing them the cars because he wanted to show them what their work got him. So that was a really shitty move.
On community, as if he's painting an overall negative picture when there's really no other way to see it. I guess retention is good for the people that are playing Marathon. That's cool, but no one's fucking playing it. If I pull a look,
No, extraction shooters are such a niche thing. I honestly believe like the main extraction shooter out there is Escape from Tarkov. There's others out there like Arena Breakpoint, Gray Zone Warfare, but you kind of have to deal with what you want to deal with. Like, there's even a Halo extraction shooter coming out that we know nothing of other than like one artwork. It's a thing. It's codenamed Halo Tachanka, and it's not expected to release for like another 2 years. I don't think that game's going to do well. As much as I hate to say it, but I don't think it will.
I hate to be this guy. I'm about to be this fucking guy. Let me pull this shit up. Here we are. Marathon. It's Sunday. It's Mother's Day. Marathon players, maybe they just really love their moms. Completely fine. I understand. 9,974 players.
On Mother's Day, that's not bad. Because most of the time, people, like on certain holidays, like if I remember right, Mother's Day is in like the top 10 of holidays. Like there's a list out there of like important holidays that people don't game for. Mother's Day is in like the top 10. So like 9,000 people is not bad. But Destiny 2 having 10,000, that should be a sign. And Marathon's dropping players by the day. Like they're in the constant negatives.
Destiny 2 is currently beating that. And we don't have shit in Destiny right now. You know that? No.
We haven't had shit in Destiny since Forsaken. Let's make that very clear. Forsaken was around the first DLC that they removed content that we paid for. I've returned. Well, welcome back, content. I'm currently eating and we're watching something, and then we'll be back on Space Marine.
Not shit. Nothing has happened in Destiny. Like nothing. Now you could say, well, maybe Destiny 2 players just don't like their mothers. There.
Damn.
Knock it off with.
Sorry, Mom, I can't bring you your Mother's Day gift. The raid needs me. I have to do the raid lead. If I don't lead the raid, like Mom, you don't understand. If I don't lead the raid, everyone's going to fuck up. You don't understand. I have to lead the raid. God damn.
The Marathon hates? Believe me, brother, I'm not hating Marathon. The fault really lies with Bungie on this, okay? However, imagine this. Imagine there they stand, Destiny and Marathon, and I have to choose which one to let go. You know what I mean?
God, some of our raid runs, I still have nightmares about some of our raid runs. I will tell you this, Ghost, and this still irritates the shit out of me in Destiny raids, and it's one raid. One fucking raid that we did. That I know you were a part of with our raid group that we did. I still get an instant migraine on the Oryx raid. And you want to know why I get an instant migraine with the Oryx raid? because the phase with the platforms where Oryx goes out and he punches a platform and someone has to get on it, I fucking hate. We never solidified what those platforms were called. It was always and I swear to God, I will boot people out of a raid if I hear it. The over here call out, like I'm supposed to know where the fuck you are. Or because there's 4 platforms, it was never L1, L2, L3, or L4. We never put in what is L1 or L2. Or some people even put in like what it should be, like front right, front left, or something. It was never consistent. That was the thing that we always failed in the Oryx raid, and that drove me insane. Don't get me wrong, the Oryx raid is like probably one of the well thought out raids ever, but I blame the mouth breathing idiots that we played with that never made the correct call out, or sometimes they just said nothing. My favorite raid too? Hell yeah, because the Oryx raid to me is the best raid in Destiny. Out of all of the 11 or 12 years that we've had Destiny, the Oryx raid is the best. It's the one I loved going and doing. I loved its armor look. I didn't really care for its exclusive weapon. I thought its weapon was a little ass, but it was great. Like honestly, to me, just play the Homelander meme of it was perfect. It was perfectly perfect. Just play that. But my God, that one phase with the platforms, I want to yeet my computer into a garbage can 100% with the callouts. We could never get the callouts correct.
Down, and there's only one life raft available, and only Destiny 2 could get on, or Marathon could get on. Even in its shittiest state, its lowest low, I would get Destiny 2 off that ship well before Marathon. Matter of fact, I would strap Marathon down with cinder blocks, put him all the way to the bottom of the ship, and make eye contact with him all the way down. Look, we're gonna have this dance. We're gonna do it. We're gonna watch and see how it goes. I already told you guys that I had a feeling Bungie was about to.
We're going to have to stick with a year with Marathon. As much as I hate to say it, we're not going to see shit about Destiny, like any type of future with Destiny. And I'm going to estimate like 3 years minimum, if that. And the reason why I'm saying this, you have to look at it from a creator standpoint. Not a creator. Well, actually, not creator, because of the people who worked on Marathon. We have at least, on average, for every game that gets released, a year's worth of content planned. We're still waiting on for the whole year's worth of content. 99% of the time, the year's worth of content that gets released, that's actually the full game. And that's why usually year 2 of shit that comes out for a game is usually ass. That's why for the next year, starting in 2 weeks, all focus is on Marathon. I doubt we're going to see like a special event or anything anymore. I doubt we're going to see any other posts from Bungie about any type of future projects or anything, because all hands on deck for the entire year of Marathon. I guarantee you that's what Bungie like told Sony, that they're just like, wait a year and we'll make a decision within that. That's probably what's happening.
Ice, or Sony was about to ice Destiny's IP. That doesn't mean they're killing it. That just means for the foreseeable future, it's going to have minimum investment. And Marathon, they are going to try to pull a Forsaken. They are going to try to pull a Taken King. And you know what? I'll be around. I will be around, and we'll see. We'll see. But here's what I truly believe. I don't believe Marathon will be able to turn things back around.
No.
Not to take away from the guys at Bungie working on Marathon who are probably putting their heart and souls into it.
See, like, hold on, let me go back one frame.
It's not to take away from the guys at Bungie working on Marathon who are.
Look at this landscape. It's fucking bright as shit. The only reason why this blue is here is because this is the blood effect from the characters. Plus, look at these characters. They don't look anything special, really, within that. Like, they did not design the characters too well within that. From what I saw with the characters, they did the basic thing of like changing different colors. Like, oh, the green here can be red. This entire black suit could be this type of green. They pulled that stuff. They should have just had custom characters. Because they're probably just like, oh, people most of the time make ugly characters anyway. Let's just make the ugly characters for them. No. Let us have custom characters. Let us make our own ugly characters. The perfect ugly characters that we could ever have is from Ark Survival.
Probably putting their heart and souls into it. I just personally don't think Marathon is going to be able to turn it around. Not to the degree.
And look at this. This honestly looks like, to me, someone took Microsoft Paint and just took the paint bucket and just dumped paint everywhere. Like, yeah, there's like a little bit of like yellowish orange here. There's a little bit of yellow here. There's like a little bit of green here. There's black here. But like, it just looks like they just dumped paint everywhere. There's no vibrancy of this place. Like, this is a bright as fuck game that just does not look that appealing to be like, oh, this place is memorable. You know what I'm going to remember with this place? Oh, they're over at, like, I'm going to assume this is like a Crane. They're at Crane. Where the fuck is Crane? It's orange. That's what I'll remember with it. There's nothing memorable about any of these. Like, these just look plain colors. All I see are watermarks. That too. And like, look at the hand. This is the hand of your character you're going to see all the time. This is just blue. Where they just look like, oh, let's put a PNG here. Let's put a fucking arrow here. I don't get the point of the arrow. Oh, let's put the brand name that we can't read that's super pixelated here. And then like this little image right here of like your teammate. Why the fuck are they staring into my soul?
That Sony wants or that Bungie needs. I'll put it to you like this. Do you think Marathon right now has an all-time peak of 88,337 players? My ass. Man.
That's all time? All time is just 88,000? I remember people said people were playing this because the Burnt Peanut played it. I feel like Burnt Peanut couldn't have brought up that numbers more. Oh, Jesus.
And I mean, I was in copium land leading up to the launch of Marathon. And I was like, it won't break below 100,000 players. Brother, it didn't even go over that. It didn't even touch it. But no. For real. Do you think that it's going to go over 80?
Hang on. He has like Okay, he has a moment here where he's showing everything else. Okay, so Marathon. All-time peak players on Steam. I probably should say this. On Steam. 88,000. Raft has 101,000. Hollow Knight Silksong, a single player only game, 587,000. Destiny 2, all-time player base. Like, this should be like an eye-opener. On Steam alone, Destiny 2. And a lot of people did not go to the PC version of Destiny 2 because they were not transparent on how to move their character over. You can do it, but it's a huge fucking headache. 316,750 people. They have lost so much with Marathon. And somebody out there in Bungie's like, yeah, Marathon's doing good. Yeah, it's doing great. Yeah. Yeah. EA Sports FC 25 has more than Marathon. They even have a more concurrent player base than Marathon. Oh my god.
No, for real. Do you think that it's going to go over 88,337 players in Season 2?
No, and I can tell you why. Because games have this like whole thing with like main player base. And I love the stance I have at Altros right now. Is when a game releases, it has the highest ever player peak. And the reason being for that is because around like 2,000 to 3,000 people on average just buy a game, they play for like an hour and a half, not to go past that 2-hour mark, and then they have like the whole review of the game, and then they refund it, they never play it again, and they will never see that player on the game again. Then you also have what is on average about 45 to 50% of the player base that they base the whole game's future on the launch. And with launch games never working, they will never come back. So you immediately lost that much amount of players. After that, you'll have the players that will be like, okay, this is something, it's a little buggy, it's a little shitty right now, but it's something new. You got to fix it. Like take the dungeon thing that we had on stream. You got to work through the kinks. People will work through the kinks. They'll see how long a game will work on it with the kinks being worked out. It's not going to be instant. It's never going to be the same week of the release, but over time you will lose at least like 30 to 20,000 people based upon how long it takes for you to work on the kinks. And then you have at least a 10% of people who will leave the game, but they will come back when there's more to do on there. So I think it will never get past 88,000.
Season 3. Or if they did like a big 1-year launch, do you think it will go over that number? Only going free to play? I have said it for a while now that Bungie should really consider.
That's right. This game costs $40. I forgot. They completely missed the mark. People don't want to pay full price for games anymore. I forgot. They could have had like at least double this if it was free to play. Oh my god, that is one thing that does suffer from games like max player base and max like user usage is the free to play system. People are tired. They hate the current price of games. There's an honest fear with Sony at the moment. With Sony just announced that they've increased the pricing for PlayStation Plus. So like right now games are like $70. There's potential. We don't know this for sure, but with Sony raising the price of PlayStation Plus, there's a potential and a rumor going around that games might actually end up being $120 by the end of this year because people are pulling out the numbers from all these companies, and there have been talks from past management and board meetings that they might increase the price more than they did last time.
Consider not going completely free to play, is adding one map and making it a free to play map. You know, it can literally be sponsor kits. People can jump in there, mess around, and you might get some conversions. Will there be cheaters? Of course. But you might get some.
There's cheaters in every game, but that's kind of the thing with Stop Killing Games. Like with Stop Killing Games, they're trying to preserve games, but Stop Destroying Games, the American side of Stop Killing Games, that they had to rename it to Stop Destroying Games. They've already arrested cheaters. There's at least like 2 confirmed cheaters out there that got arrested and is currently facing jail time because of they were cheating in games. I think one of the games was Rust. I don't remember what was the other. No, the other one was Counter-Strike.
Conversions. And if anything, you could pad the stats a little bit. But even then, guys, I don't know, boys. I would be very, very surprised. I'd be very surprised if it gets over that number. I just feel like so many people have already made up their mind about Marathon. You know what I'm saying? And sure, the people that are playing Marathon, you know, they're enjoying it. Glad they are, you know? It's tough, man. It's tough. Marathon community, I give you guys shit. But I definitely enjoyed my time playing Marathon. To me, it's a seasonal game. And so I'll jump back in, you know, probably when a new season launches, if there's something big coming each launch.
Oh yeah, a lot of people do jump into new seasons, see what's new, and most of the time they just bail out. Like I jumped into Gray Zone the other day to see what's new with the 0.4 update, and it's a little broken, but it's a little good. Like essentially within that season for that game, it's the same thing I see with a lot of other games where they take 2 steps forward and 1 step back.
If it's just like, hey, get ready to do all your faction quests all over again and re-earn all the same shit again, you know what I'm coming from? Which very likely that is the case. Then
it's an extraction shooter. That's what's going to happen. That's the reason why I don't play that much Tarkov. Because yes, I'm happy with Tarkov 1.0. Anything you do is fully completed. You don't ever have to do it again. But like every 6 months, originally before Tarkov was 1.0, every 6 months you had to redo every quest, and that kind of like drawn me away from the game a bit.
my time playing each season is going to be probably much less. With that being said, though, I think Destiny is the better game. I think it's the stronger IP. I think it's the sexier game. I think that it's just better on every level. I think it looks better, it feels better, it shoots better, it plays better. It's just better. It's fucking so much better. I can't express just how much better Destiny is. And every Destiny 1 is better. Okay, Destiny 1 fucking kills Marathon. Look, Marathon is a fun time. I have a good time playing Marathon, but there's no world in which I would choose Marathon over Destiny. Okay, if I could
I
do
have
it,
to
I
agree
would
with that.
execute Marathon for Bungie. All right, if this is a tough decision for them, dude, not even 2 minutes in a pillow. I think we can get back to making more Destiny. I'm gonna be honest. If they dropped the Destiny Classic right now, it would beat the shit out of Destiny 2 and Marathon combined. Look. You don't want this fight, Marathon community. Destiny 2 community, y'all don't want this fight either. If a Destiny Classic dropped on PC right now, it would beat the piss out of both these games.
I have to agree. I have to agree with in that Destiny 1 was so much better than Destiny 2. There was a lot of things I prefer Destiny 1 over Destiny 2. I don't think we're ever going to get a Destiny Classic. I think if there's me with the amount of copium for Destiny 3, I will go into it with a lot of fear.
No, I don't think Marathon is the worst game at all. There's so many things that went wrong, man. So many things. Dude, I'm going to be telling my grandkids about this if they're even going to care. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be like, Grandpa, tell us a story. And I'm going to be like, the story can go many ways. It could be like, I'm going to tell you a story about a studio that made an epic comeback by becoming completely community driven. And I'm going to show you where it fell and where they picked it back up. Or I'm going to be like, I'm going to tell you a story of a studio that chopped their own dick off. Chopped the testicles off, fucking shit on everything. They just shit on everything. And they're going to be like, Grandpa, tell us that story. How did this company chop their own balls and dick off? Well, there was a guy named Pete. Pete said, I got a lot of shit. Turns out, Pete didn't have nothing except cars. And that's how the story goes. It's unfortunate, man.
I will say part of what Bungie thought, and I know I said this earlier, when Bungie made the shift from Halo to Destiny, it was a lot because of the fact that Bungie showed honestly, Bungie showed more good faith with Halo than they did with Destiny. And Bungie honestly believed that they had the same amount of faith with Destiny 2 to go to Marathon, that they thought like their hardcore dedicated fans will go to Marathon. That's not the case. Bungie was in the shithole for like years before because of the two massive amounts of firing, the sunsetting of content, the still paying for sunset content that you're locked behind. They're not in a good spot as they were with Halo.
Marathon was supposed to come out at least a year ago. It's just bad, dude. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. All right, can you imagine working on Marathon? Can you imagine just being like a developer for just Marathon? You don't work on Destiny. You never worked at Bungie. You finally get hired on a Marathon. You show up and you're like, yeah, leadership seems cool as shit. Then a week goes by. Leadership fucking gone. Christopher Barrett laid off. Why? Truth or dare? Truth or dare? Too much. Shouldn't do it at all. Shit happened.
Whoa.
Leadership changes. All right. Oh, simultaneously, tons of other layoffs happening in the studio. All those people you met that work on Destiny, they're all fucking getting laid off or leaving. And so you're like, damn, dude. This.
I will also say this. Marathon's a PvP only game. Bungie does not have like the last... Well, there is some elements of PvE. It's the whole like side robot stuff. So if I'm throwing in Gambit, they have not had the best PvP in like the last 6 years because they abandoned Gambit. They abandoned multiplayer. Multiplayer was so badly unbalanced because it was highly dominant with seasonal weapons that you can never get again that people still to this day use.
This is really scary. I just showed up here. I just started working last week and so many things happening. And then new leadership comes in, that being Ziegler. Ziegler comes in and he's like, listen, I'm from Valorant, and the way Marathon looks like right now looks like shit. We're going to change everything. And look, nothing against Ziegler. I think Ziegler's got a great mind, but it takes time. Then Ziegler's like, all right, let's fucking...
It should be like eye-opening if... I didn't know Ziegler said it looks like shit, but if somebody that's a game developer said Marathon looks like shit, if the content creators who played it privately, that they still to this day cannot release that footage, what original Marathon looked like shit. If Marathon was in beta form and even they said it looked like shit, and then it released and it still is shit, and they went through at least, by my count, 4 different changes saying that the game is shit, they probably should not have sold the game. They should not have released the game. They should have just overhauled the fuck out of it. Like, take Crimson Desert. Crimson Desert was supposed to be an MMO, but then for whatever reason, they said they didn't like the direction of it, and then they changed it up to what it is now. That's why there's so much to do in there.
We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna do that. And then the time keeps extending, okay? Keeps extending. And then when they feel like they're like, all right, we're almost there. We're almost to the promised land. They launched the alpha. Now, alpha wasn't received that well because the alpha looked like shit. Let's just be clear. It looked like shit. Wasn't received well. But the thing that really hurt them the most was that inside the alpha was a bunch of in-game assets with decals of another artist, an independent artist.
Oh, yeah, this.
Thus, the art scandal formed. It sucks, man.
It also does, President. There's a lot of extraction shooter people who only play extraction shooters. Most of them did not play Marathon. Most of them even turned down like the ability to even take a sponsorship because they did not want Marathon on their track record because they said they played the alpha, they don't see it going anywhere, and they were correct.
Sucks. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. I've said it still. It's kind of amazing that Marathon even made it. Like, it's really amazing Marathon made it out the door. So if you work that hard just to get Marathon out the door, of course Bungie and Sony are going to commit resources to it. And they're going to play this dance for probably a year. The question is at this point, and this is the point that hurts the most, is one, is there going to be layoffs following this impairment news? Two, where are the layoffs going to hit? Are they going to hit more on the Destiny side? Are they going to hit more on the Marathon side? And let me just say, man, I don't think either side can really lose many people at this point. You know what I mean?
No. Sony's going to dissolve Bungie. As much as I don't want to say that, but it already happened. Sony dissolved like two like sections of Bungie. Like they lost a few things like the first 4 months when they acquired Bungie, and people thought like Bungie was going to be dissolved. If Bungie cannot get Marathon going, they need to be sit down with Sony to be like, hey, Destiny 2, you guys did great. We don't know what the fuck you guys did, but near the end, you guys fucked it up. So here are your options. Make Destiny 3 and actually listen to the fans. Don't listen to the car salesman of you buying fucking cars. Actually listen to the fans and see what they want, see what's most popular, what people want, or be dissolved, because there's going to be no Marathon 2. I bet everything in the world that Marathon 2 would never exist. I may know a brother who plays Space Marine 2. He's also a streamer. I remember you telling me that yesterday, but you never told me who it was.
People that are, I mean, they're the ones that are going to be living through this. I think my biggest issue with everything that has happened over really since Bungie's been acquired by Sony, there was a large amount of funds set aside to retaining talent. And my question is what the happened at that? If that was set aside to retain talent, then why didn't we retain talent? Why didn't we?
And then the talent that stayed, they ended up stealing artwork from other people and claiming it as their own, and then they were proven wrong, and then they were fired. So even the handful of people who did that crap, they thought they were more viable than the ones who actually showed love and care for the games.
Find a way to keep Chris Proctor. Why didn't we keep Joe? Why didn't we keep Mark Noseworthy and Luke Smith? Why didn't we keep Michael Salvatore? Sure, some of you are going to say, but they left on their own accord. Obviously, people got paid. There are people that definitely got fucking paid. But in terms of retaining your top talent, your narrative team from Final Shape, what happened to retaining those people? I'm just saying, guys, I would not be surprised if Destiny goes into maintenance mode after this next expansion. I wouldn't be surprised if, at best, we get a Renegade style expansion per year with your normal cadence of other things like Guardian games, holiday events. You see where I'm coming from? Cross is killing Destiny fans right now. Guys, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I want us to be prepared for this, okay?
I think they should do one thing, and the one thing that they should do is test the numbers. And what I mean within that, apparently Marathon's in Season 3. I did not know that. Holy shit. How short are the seasons for a looter shooter? but they need to release a Destiny event. It does not matter what the event is. It could be Guardian Games. It could be the Guardian Olympics, or the stupid like holiday shit that they did. They need to release a Destiny event the same day, the same second as a marathon season, and see who plays more of what. If Marathon has more players that day for a new season, then go for it. Work on Marathon. But if Destiny 2 has more players active on just Steam alone during a Marathon new season, that'll tell you what the fans care for more. Let me see if he wants to do a collab. Guys that don't want to hurt your people who like that game are mad. I think it's just mostly like the Bungie, not Bungie, the Destiny fans are just at the same point as the Star Wars fans, that they're tired of being beaten down by Bungie, because Bungie has kind of looked at them like a stain on their shoe over the last like few years.
I think it's kind of likely, okay? Just based off of everything we've seen. And I think that, unfortunately, I think there's going to be another wave of layoffs. It may not happen until later
For sure.
Summer, but I do think that there's going to be another wave of layoffs. I hate that, but
If like we're already so close to $1 billion, but Marathon has already cost Sony $763 million, and the game's not even a year old yet, and it's already cost them that much money. We already lost within that. Like that's already there. Like they're already close to the billions.
I just think that's probably going to end up happening. And I'm not hopeful that a Destiny 3 is being made right now, which blows my mind because it seems stupid as to not make a Destiny 3. That would obviously print. It's not until Marathon is stable. Right. I don't know if Marathon is ever going to reach that point. Based on what their history is, I would say Bungie feels confident since their success with the Taken King, their success with Forsaken. These are the annual expansions that follow the release of Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. They feel very confident that their year 2 turnaround can change the course of the game. However, that's Destiny. And I say this with love, Marathon community. Marathon ain't Destiny, all right?
No, it's not. The thing with Destiny, it had a whole nother game before it that was console only that brought in a lot of people. And with the people that stayed after the transaction of Destiny 2, like they could have easily pulled an Overwatch where they shut down Destiny 1 and they only had Destiny 2, but they didn't. Destiny 1 was still active. I think it's still active now. They need to figure out something.
Your game, I like it too sometimes, but it's not Destiny. In regards to Gummy Bears and Team LFG, nothing was said about them. Probably not going to hear anything about them until whatever it is that they're working on is coming out, probably. And keep in mind,
not anytime soon.
Really showcase is that Sony is completely willing to take individual games within Bungie and siphon them off and put them under PlayStation Studios. That's really.
But we're not going to see them for at least like maybe 2 years because Sony already had their state of play way early in the year. They had it back in February, and usually that's when they show off new games, and they didn't really show off anything in the Sony state of play that they showed off in February that I didn't even know what was happening. And if they show it off that early and not showing anything that's coming out this year, they have nothing this year.
What that shows. The question is, are they going to do something similar with Marathon? I'd be surprised, but maybe. I don't know. Whatever the case, obviously it shows some levels of promise because then they pulled it out from underneath Bungie and established Team LFG. Yeah, look, there is a way out of this. I want everyone to know there is a way out of this, but it involves heavy investment back into the Destiny side of things. I just don't see that happening from Sony right now. Are you sure it's not just a skill issue? Well, it could be a skill issue. It could be the fact that some of your greatest talent that worked at Bungie left, and therefore quality of content has gone down. You know what I'm saying? It's like those two go hand in hand. Look, I don't agree with everything Luke Smith did or said. You know where I'm coming from? But tell me you didn't get a little excited every time you saw Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy on the screen. Tell me, because what did they represent? What did those two guys represent?
They bring out new stuff.
You were going to get f***ed. It might be a bad f***, or might be a good f***. You don't know. don't really know. But it still brought a level of excitement.
No matter what, it could either be bad or good, but you'll still be happy at the end of the day because it's something new.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna lie, going into Final Shape, when Luke Smith came on and he was like, this is definitely not it for Destiny. And after the Final Shape has launched, we'll be back to talk more about that. God, dog it! I was so hopeful, man. I was like, oh shit, they're doing it, boys. They're doing it. They're gonna make it. They're gonna make a D3. It's all coming together. And somehow those guys essentially got let go. I know they left, but you know where I'm coming from. What would I do?
I think they got the same treatment as Bonnie Ross, where they were like paid to let go. Like they got the severance check for it because like they wanted to get rid of them, but they wanted to save as much face as they could.
Save Destiny. Can I just say Destiny is so just intertwined with the corporate world that I don't know how to navigate this. You know what I'm coming from? This isn't just like, hey, here's a single studio who owns an IP, who has creative freedom and direction here to try some things and mix things up. This isn't like we can go in there and make a few sandbox tweaks and changes here or throw in Pantheon 2.0. There's just so much intertwined in this that, yes, I could sit here and say we can follow the same roadmap that RuneScape followed with essentially old school RuneScape launching. You could do a classic launch. You can roll out that content over a year time frame instead of stretching out, of course, over 3 years, because that just wouldn't make sense. You could start with the OG sandbox. You can create goodwill by allowing Red War campaign and Forsaken to be in a playable state in some way. I don't know how you figure out that way. Whether
I don't know with Red War.
Or even
they went into such a huge legal lawsuit over Red War.
But I don't know. I don't know. But that would establish some level of goodwill. The community would see that and go, all right, well, we don't forgive you, but we appreciate this. You know what I mean? We appreciate you at least trying. We still fucking remember. We don't forgive you, but we appreciate it. All of this is to tee up the future, which would be a D3. Here's the problem with everything that I just said right now. Sony has to okay it. They have to say, all right, sure. And right now, they're not, the trust between them and Bungie, I think, has really fallen. I don't think they have faith in Bungie, what Bungie wants to do, if Bungie even wants to do that. You see what I mean? Anyways, that's that, guys. That's that. It's not good news. There's nothing good about this. There really is nothing good about this. I think like some people are like, but the retention in Marathon. All right. It's not good. You effectively have 2 games now, both competing for shit place. And that's not good. That's where Destiny 2 and Marathon is right now.
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I mean, like, I still think the only thing that can save Bungie as of right now is Destiny 3, to be honest with you. Yeah, give him like, what was that at the beginning you mentioned? Oh, right. Yeah, let me get that.
Opium bullshit out of their ass.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, no,
I went too far.
This is truly the final shape of this image.
Yep, here we go. Alcatraz made this joke of what the future of Destiny players, like content creators, are. Without the current state of things for that. So, of course. I mean, yeah. Hang on. But yeah, I still believe Destiny is the only thing that can save Bungie right now. They released such a niche style of game that wouldn't really work just because of the fact that Destiny 3 was like, not Destiny 3. Destiny was like such a niche game that did lose a lot of people because of like, at first with Destiny 1 there wasn't really much to do, but like we didn't know at the time with how the loopholes were, but I don't think Marathon is it. Marathon kind of falls into the same category as like Battle Royales, that it's no longer viable for a standalone game. Like, I don't think Marathon should be a standalone game. They should have had like a campaign of it or something, just like something else to do, because like the single-minded versions of games where like it's a multiplayer only, it's a one style thing, it doesn't work anymore. That's the reason why like MMOs are like having a hard time releasing now. But I still have high hopes for Destiny. I have way more hopes for Destiny than Marathon. I had no idea Marathon was at that current state. Actually, you know what? I'm curious. Hold on, let me look up something. Marathon Steam charts. That video was a little while ago. Let's see where Marathon is at right now. Okay, that's not... I don't know what the fuck that is. Okay, and let me pull up Bungie for side to side. Destiny 2 Steam charts. Even though I know I hate doing this because of the fact that it doesn't pull in console side of things. Because like we'll never get the accurate numbers, but we can get at least the PC side of numbers. Like, how long has Destiny been out? Not Destiny. April 25th. Wait, no, that's not right. 6th of March. Okay, let me pull this up just so you guys can see. There we go. That's current with Marathon. As of right now, 10,401 players. So, even without it being Mother's Day, they only gained a little bit over an extra 1,000 players. That's without a holiday. But we can at least say like 9,000 people that plays Marathon doesn't care about their moms. And as for Destiny 2, at the current moment, actually, hold on. 24-hour peak is 11,795. That's 24 hours from here to there, right? And this is max numbers. Destiny 2. 16,039 players, and that's after we know Destiny 2 is pulling support. And within, right now, at this very moment, 15,629 people on, and both these are on PC, are currently playing Destiny. And like, does this? No, it does not have when the seasons release. But Destiny does, like, Witch Queen, what's this? The Dawning, Festival of the Lost. Destiny does retain a lot more players, and this is like definitely a lot more for that. I've returned. Well, welcome back. I'm back. Well, welcome back again. But like, even let's look at the Twitch stats for this. Like, 1,951 people are watching people play Marathon at the current moment. Like, this is still Marathon, so like this is the Twitch stats. A maximum of the last 24 hours, nearly 3,000 people is watching people play Marathon. On Twitch side, it's not doing great. Destiny on Twitch side, 4,000 people are watching it right now. Almost 5. There is a lot more care for Destiny 2 than there is for Marathon. And that to me is extremely sad. And it like, I get it, they have like the new shining ordeal of like, oh, Marathon's brand new, give it time. Look at the time. I'm going to assume all these bump ups is people playing for new seasonal stuff, and it is dripping hard.